All right, how's everybody doing? I'm Jeremy Langlois coming to you from Houmas House Estate and Gardens. Sure hope everybody is doing great out there. Man, we have a really fun dish that we're gonna go ahead and just jump right into. The dish that we're making today is an eggplant and seafood au gratin. And the reason I decided to choose this recipe is I thought the addition of the eggplant was such an interesting twist to your very common seafood au gratin that you often see in seafood restaurants all across Louisiana. But adding this eggplant to it, I just thought this was a great recipe, and even how we're going to serve it with these crostinis, I thought was also a nice little twist to just kind of mix up, take something that we're all so familiar with, like a seafood au gratin, and then kind of put a little twist on it. So let's kind of jump right in and get cooking. I got a few things going. I'll catch you up to it. But actually just a really simple recipe, and one of those dishes I always love doing is anytime you can do something that just takes place in one pot, man, those are some of my favorite recipes to create. As always, y'all, my friend Jesse is behind the camera, so at any point you got any questions and you're watching us live, feel free to drop us a comment and ask those questions away, and we'll try to answer them live on air. But if not, if you're watching this after the fact that we're live, that's great as well too. We love it as well. But just drop a comment also, because I'm looking at the comments throughout the week and I love interacting with y'all, and I'm going to answer any questions there. And all the recipes we do have all been posted on our Houmas House webpage. If you go to houmashouse.com and click on the resource tab, you get a drop-down menu. One of them says recipes. Click that, you'll see all of them. Jessie does a great job with her graphic design skills, making all our recipes into PDFs. Click it, you can print them right out, bring them to your kitchen, and cook with us as well. And if you ever cook anything, tag us on Facebook. We'd love to see that as well. All right, with all that, let's just jump in. Okay, so real simple. I got a little pot on medium-high heat. I melted a 1/4 cup of butter into it, and I started browning off some eggplant. Let me quickly talk to you about the eggplant, just so we're all on the same page. I took a regular old eggplant, peeled it. However, if you didn't want to peel it, that would be fine, but I like my eggplant peeled, but the skin is 100% edible. And then I kind of cut it into small dices, and I did that with 2 eggplant. Just cubed them up, and then I put them into our heated butter, and I just started to soften them up. I wanted to get that jump started because it does take about 10 minutes for it to soften. And also, just a cooking tip. Eggplant is one of those few vegetables I can think of off the top of my head that you really do want to cook all the way through. Eggplant is in the nightshade family, and you don't, just like if I were to blanch an asparagus, I'm going to blanch it and cook it where it's still got a nice little crunch to it. Eggplant's not really one of those vegetables. It's something you really want to cook till it's nice and soft, because if you ever try to eat uncooked eggplant, it'll actually kind of be almost itchy on the throat if you don't cook it all the way through. So I went ahead and got the eggplant softened. And then what I'm going to go do now, in this butter, you notice we have a good bit of butter. That's important because we are going to come back and make a little roux out of that. But we're going to go into here with a little bit of onions, celery, and bell pepper, or Trinity. And that's just going to go right in there and just kind of soften up. You just get them cooking in that butter as well. Kick the heat up a little bit. We're really going to start to sweat those vegetables. When I say sweat vegetables, that just means to lightly cook your vegetables till they start to get a little bit translucent. Not looking to caramelize them or get a lot of color on them, just looking to kind of just cook them down a little bit, and as you cook them, they start to develop that flavor that we just love in our cooking. Everybody with me so far? Like always, y'all, if you do like our videos, please hit that share button. It helps get those videos out there, and we appreciate it so much. Okay, once we have our onions and bell peppers and celery cooked, we're going to add some flour. Now look, I'm just going to shake in flour a little bit at a time and then stir it. And all I'm looking to do is pick up that butter which we have been sauteing our eggplant and our Trinity in. This is a simple recipe, but you could always come back with a little bit of garlic or any other kind of vegetables that you might want in this. But right now, this is a very basic Mornay sauce or a cheese-based cream sauce. So we're kind of sticking with the classics. And now look at that. Now you can see I don't have a big pool of butter in here because that flour is kind of starting to pick all that up. So now at this point, we're going to start to pour in some milk. Again, this is very classic. This would be your classic, in French terms, a bechamel or a white sauce. And this is exactly how you would make it, just a little milk thickened with a roux. So you see I add a little bit in and I stir it, and I add a little bit in and stir it. I need that milk to come up to a simmer. Roux, just like cornstarch, doesn't thicken the liquid you're trying to cook, in this case milk, until it has come to a boil. So cold milk with a little bit of roux is never gonna thicken. We gotta bring it up to a boil for the roux to kind of activate and thicken what we're cooking here. And then as it starts to thicken, now I just, because I'm adding a little at a time and stirring, it, letting it come up to a boil, I'm gonna keep adding, and this is why I don't even necessarily need the recipe. I'm just gonna add my milk until it has a nice thick cream sauce, not that kind of pudding looking consistency that we had just a moment ago when it's still too thick. I keep adding a little bit in until it's nice, thick, and creamy, and boom, I think we're pretty much there right now. So I don't even have to worry about measuring if I just go a little bit at a time. All right, everybody with me? So now that I have this cream sauce, it's got that beautiful diced eggplant in it. Now, this is where the fun starts. We're gonna add, this is where we turn this into our Louisiana style, almost like a gumbo. I got some little baby shrimp. I'm gonna get those shrimp in there. Fantastic. You know, oysters. Now, oysters are something that even here today, at this date that we're filming this, because of the effects of Hurricane Ida, actually kind of stirred up everything in the Gulf and kind of really wreaked some havoc, unfortunately, on our oyster beds. They can be a little bit hard to come by at this moment, but there are still some out there. And what's great about this recipe, it's versatile. You don't have oysters, just don't worry about it. But if you have them, oh man, great addition. Now you'll see, I'm gonna put a little bit of oysters in here, and I'm leaving the liquor in, the oyster liquor in here as well, because that is like free stock, free seafood stock that you get with your oysters whenever you buy oysters. These oysters will cook away, but that oyster liquor is just gonna add an immense amount of flavor to this dish that you wouldn't have if you didn't have those oysters. So they're a perfect addition to this recipe. All right, next. Oh, everybody loves jumbo lump crab meat. You like jumbo lump? Well, you're not a big seafood person, right?
I love seafood. Love it.
I can't keep up with Jessie, you know. I could have sworn, y'all go back in the videos, I could have sworn she was saying the other thing, oh, I don't eat much seafood. But that's my Jessie impersonation, by the way. But you know, jumbo lump crab meat is like the crown jewel of Louisiana seafood, just like Houmas House is the crown jewel of the River Road. And because it's so expensive and so beautiful and so delicate, you notice I'm adding it last, and I'm going to be real gentle with it, because a crab only has 2 lumps on it, and you pay a lot of money for them to pick it out and pull it out intact and not be shredded. So we don't want to then just throw this crab meat in here and shred it all up ourselves. So I'm going to put it in here, and now I'm going to be very sure that I kind of fold it. See how I do that? I just kind of give it a fold. I'm not in here stirring extra hard with my spoon. I'm just very delicately just tossing this all together until it all mixes, being sure not to break up those beautiful lumps. I'm ready to season it now. Real simple. A little bit of salt, cayenne pepper, if you like a little heat would be great in here. I'm a whip when it comes to spice, so I'm gonna put a little bit of black pepper in here. Just get that in. And now, this is a great base. Couple final ingredients we're gonna finish off in here. Fresh parsley. Love adding fresh parsley at the end. Gives it a great freshness. And because we're making a Mornay sauce, which is a white creamy sauce with cheese, I'm gonna sift in some grated Parmesan cheese. And that's gonna be fantastic. Any cheese would do. Feel free to be creative. Maybe a little bit of shredded smoked Gouda, a little bit of Swiss would give it a completely different character. You don't have to just go with Parmesan, and I'm using nice, fresh, grated Parmesan Reggiano. Always want to try to avoid using the stuff out of that green can, but if that's all you got, that'll work in a pinch as well. Now, Jess, if you can just kind of get in here and see that now, this is exactly what we're looking for. Just a beautiful cream sauce, chocked full of that eggplant, which is nice and soft, and then just different seafood. Now, this is it for the base, and I'm ready to serve this up. However, you got some options out there as well, guys. You know, you can very easily and traditionally dump this into a casserole pan, or maybe into individual smaller pans, and then come back and top it off with a little more Parmesan cheese, breadcrumbs, and then throw that into an oven and let that kind of gratin on the top, and it's going to be fantastic. That would be great. But I wanted to show you a different option of service that I think is just as wonderful. This would make a great appetizer. It very easily could make a main course as well. And I got these beautiful crostinis here, which is nothing more than a little bit of toasted French bread that I rubbed with a little extra virgin olive oil, a little seasoning, and a little bit of fresh parsley, and just baked them in a 350-degree oven for about 5 minutes, just to kind of warm them up. And I'm gonna actually serve this on top of these crostinis. I think it's a great way to serve it. So we're gonna take some of these, and then we're just scooping on it, making sure we get some oysters, some shrimp, and some of that beautiful jumbo lump crab meat, and just kind of getting them right on there, keeping it kind of rustic, just like this. And man, you put this down on a table and let everybody grab one, this is gonna be a showstopper. Just, again, this is so simple, based in that classic French cooking of the French bechamel, but I think the twist of adding eggplant, which people in Louisiana, we love our eggplant. The addition to the eggplant to this seafood au gratin is just such a winner and such a unique take on this dish that I really encourage y'all to try it. You know, because we a fancy restaurant, we come back and we're gonna put a little bit of, this is micro basil that we have, but a little fresh herbs or some diced chives right here would be fantastic at this point. But this little bit of basil is exactly what we are looking for right here. Gonna add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of freshness. And that's it, y'all. This is our seafood au gratin. Feel free to experiment with different types of seafood. You know, man, if you're up north, you got some oysters. Instead of oysters, you got clams and lobster. That would work. Any seafood would be fantastic with this. Great, simple recipe. Give it a try. Let me know if it works out for you. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. Love having y'all, and we will see you next week. Bye.